Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, Blog Talk Radio. This is Michael Edley, Psychic Medium, coming to you live for Two Psychics.
Hello, this is Mary Amy coming to you live for Two Psychics. I'm an intuitive wisdom coach, and I hope you join us on Thursdays at 8 p.m. Bye.
Bye-bye. What is up, Blog Talk Radio? This is Michael Edley. So glad to be here on this little bit of a brisk Friday night at the Jersey Shore, but so glad we're able to come to you on a Friday. I hope you're tuning into us. And my wonderful, fabulous co-host, Mary Amy. How are you, Mary Amy?
Hi, Michael. I'm great. I mean, we are here in New York, and I don't know if everyone's aware. I'm sure they are that we had our one-time winter snowstorm this week, and so now we have snow outside, and we had some snow days. It's a bit cold here. You wake up and it's between 19 and 31 degrees, 33 degrees. And I am here, loving that I'm here. I'm so excited. Tonight's a great show. And what is new with you, Michael, before we start getting on to what we're going to cover tonight and who's coming on with us? What's going on with you? What's happening over there in New Jersey?
Busy week of readings, events. I'm kind of winding that down. I have this weekend off, which is wonderful. I get to catch up on a few things. I haven't had a weekend off in quite some time. But now I've just been doing a lot of private mediumship readings. I found everything that we're dealing with in this current society, people really need to talk it out. They need to share their emotions. I think they need to uncover a lot of what's going on around them and dig through. And what we're talking about, past lives, remote viewing, psychic awareness, all this stuff that you're hearing, these are all things to empower you on this journey. But for me, I find it so rewarding as an evidential medium when I can show someone that the continuity of life exists after this body fails to exist. You know, we are in this fleshy spacesuit. We're a spiritual being having a human existence. And when I can have someone sit in front of me and show them that their loved one in spirit is still around them, they haven't lost them, it's just a different type of connection, and it's still as loving and beautiful as a connection, and I could show people that the continuity of life exists, and I've done my job, and there's been a lot of that this week, so I'm pretty happy to say the least, and I get a relaxing weekend, and I'm excited for that. What about you, Mary Amy?
Well, I'm very grateful that I have this moment, this time here, because it helps me to actually get through if I'm going through something. And what I've learned is when you are grounded and you have gratitude, and I speak about, you know, putting all your weight in your bottom and your root chakra and shooting it down to the earth, and then all of the different chakras that we have within our system, our physical vessel, the 7 chakras, and then the 5 outside of our physical vessel, I realize that in moments of distress, when we are going through a tough time, if we are grounded and we're living in the moment and we don't overwhelm ourselves, we can get through it. You know, baby steps, and just here I am, and just focus on whatever the task is at hand. Sometimes our daily lives help us get through it. And I just would like to say thank you, and thanks to the viewers out there, and I'm so excited. So tonight I'm going to say that we have some very interesting, of course, we're going to get on to, like we do, our psychic powers. And tonight we're going to explore a little bit what is remote viewing. And we are going to have a wonderful guest. I'm super duper excited for Debbie Solaris. I'm butcher names. Everyone's going to find that out eventually. I had a learning disability. I don't know if anybody else had that ever when they were a kid. And she is a ET contactee. She is also an interdimensional traveler, Galactic Akashic record reader, and galactic historian. And I am so much feeling as though we're privileged, Michael, to have her, because she's had some experiences that I don't know if very many of us have had. So we have her coming aboard in a little while, and then the show we're going to focus, like I said, on remote viewing. I'm going to do a ball of light demonstration, which is a short little exercise to help bring light into your surrounding human energy field that surrounds your body. And you're going to get to do some readings tonight. And yeah. And so Debbie will enlighten us with her knowledge and experiences as a contactee. So that's what we have going on here on Two Psychics. It's episode 5. And we are moving forward every single week. We're coming to you either a Thursday or Friday. And it's just dependent on the schedule. But I appreciate everyone out there who's joining us and listening.
Yeah, thank you everyone for listening. It's our, we are so enthralled by being able to bring this information to you. It consumes us. We love this, and we want to give you a different perspective that maybe you haven't heard. We want to bring you some of the best guests so you can hear their perspective on it too. So I'm really excited for what we have, and I'm really excited for tonight's episode. It's going to be a good one.
Yeah. And so I guess I'll just keep moving forward so that because we have a lot to do and we want to get some callers in. We have right now a bunch holding, and I'm sorry if I can't interview prior. Just grab you, whoever's holding the longest. So tonight, remote viewing. I don't know if you know what that is. I'm going to share with you some information. So a remote viewer is a viewer that receives data about a distant location or objects. In the past, psychic powers were typically considered paranormal or impossible, sci-fi, which were disguised in government agencies for military action. So remote viewing is discovered to be a real thing. This knowing what is happening when you remote view is you're sensing a location, subject, target, event, and receiving information hidden from view. And this ability gives the individual impressions like details, maybe data or information about a distant target or situation occurring in the past, present, or future. You are in one location and you are tuning in to what's going on, and maybe you'll have some exact, what's it called? Exact location, and you pinpoint it. So, remote viewing began in ancient Greece. Later, in the 1930s, there were experiments related to psychic powers, such as astral travel, telepathy, and clairvoyance. How do you remote view? Well, Michael's going to share with us in a minute. I'm going to give you a little brief explanation. How to? Well, it starts with meditation, relaxation, and you tune into your senses like we've been doing here each week. And this takes practice like all of these kind of psychic powers do. So some samples would be, maybe you have someone write down on a piece of paper and put in an envelope some information, and you guess what it says. What impressions do you receive? Now, this is all practice. You're not going to get it on the first try, and you're going to have your own personal experience. So you keep some kind of little notebook. You write it down. Maybe another sample would be you tune into someone in another location, the precise location that they're at. What are they doing? And maybe you receive, what is the weather like? What kind of impression? So it's a mental picture, a sound, a voice. Like I said, the weather, colors. Now, you always write down information you receive. Whether or not you think it sounds crazy, you write it down because it is meaningful. You're receiving the impression on purpose because you're operating on a specific vibrational frequency. You describe each image. You look for a portal filled with information. So you're going to, this is how you would do it, step by step. You get into a comfortable position. You relax. You close your eyes. You focus on a specific target, location, or object. Then you would describe and record any data received through your senses. Physical sensations, impressions such as maybe an image, a color, a sign, a symbol, numbers, weather, odors. You don't share any of this information that you receive until the process is complete. And then you check for accuracy. Now, there's what's called, interestingly enough, the IRVA, International Remote Viewing Association. The U.S. government had what was called the Stargate Project in 1978 and began U.S. Army investigated psychic phenomenon. It was called the Gondola Wish, the Grill Flame Center Law, or the Stargate Project, mostly remote viewing sites and events from distance since 1987. There was 15 to 20 individuals that participated, and they canceled the project in 1995. The CIA claimed not helpful. The CIA, DIA, it was a $20 million project. So this is a real thing, and that's why we're kind of exploring this. If you want to go online on some of social media, you can find maybe on YouTube people that do this. They do this and they get coordinates and they practice. So the military program like remote viewing to detect events in the future. And there you go, Michael.
Nice, very good explanation. Yeah, and the interesting thing, like something I want to share with our listeners is what you need to understand is this is just a small piece of working with the energy. You know, we talk about these frequencies and the different aspects of energy, and we're working with energy. Even being a psychic medium, I'm tuning in, you know, to a energy field. You know, I'm trying to raise my vibration. The spirit realm is lowering their vibration. We're meeting in the middle, and I'm trying to interpret that language of energy, language of frequency. The interesting thing about remote viewing is when this started really coming about, and there were aspects of the government, you know, that really wanted to see how they could push this, what kind of information they could pull as far as, you know, in the realm of spy versus spy, espionage, all this crazy stuff that was going on. And it started way before even World War I, but they say this had transcended and grown. And there was, if anyone's familiar with the name Ingo Swann in 1971 was a very well-known clairvoyant psychic, clear seeing. So he was seeing things. And he got pulled into a CIA program, CIA operative program, and they wanted to experiment with this remote viewing and see how a very well-versed clairvoyant psychic could pick up information. And he did. I mean, it's documented. If you go back, like Mary Amy had mentioned earlier, the Stargate program, I believe that was around probably way before the 70s, but I think when it first started being officially documented was 1975 through 1995. And if we go in 96, they tried releasing a lot of the documentation around that. They tried to declassify it through the CIA. I believe it took several years, somewhere around 2002, 2003. The American Society for Research. It was a whole gambit of government agencies working together to try to uncover what was going on with this. And they did. If you read it, I mean, we could spend a whole show just going on to their declassified documentation, but so much on it. I mean, there's unknown targets that they found that were harboring, you know, nuclear weapons. They found stuff through the USSR. I mean, all over the world, all different areas. And we're just talking about human aspects of utilizing remote viewing. You know, there was the one story where one of the remote viewers was looking into mountain ranges. He was being drawn to what were supposed to be abandoned mountain ranges. You know, they may have had some mining tunnels and a few different things, but they started stumbling upon whole underground cities, advanced technological devices, you know, so a number of different things that they were able to pull back and document. And when they started matching these things up with latitude and longitude, you know, you would see, wow, okay, well, maybe there was some type of military control over that mountain. What's going on there? You know, is there some kind of covert military, you know, some type of covert military operation going on there? Is this of this world? Is this outer worldly? You know, what is this? And these are things that they started stumbling upon. And you can go down many, many rabbit holes if you want to look into that. But I can tell you, just remote viewing in general is just one piece of the energy connection. And now you're finding people are jumping into this, and they're doing controlled remote viewing, and they're being able to go in with all their clair senses. You know, they're hearing, they're seeing, they're smelling. So not only are they seeing what's going on, they've taken it at a whole additional step. So there's so much out there. We're only tapping into the very tip of the iceberg here, but there's so much. And, you know, I think from Ingo Swann, if you go through a lot of the declassified information around him, That's probably where you'll find the bulk of it. That'll lead you to a lot of other things. So if you want to research one name or one person, look into the work of Ingo Swann and Stanford Research. There were a lot of leading physicists at that time. Russell Targ, I believe, was the name of one of them. Harold Puthoff, I believe, was another one. But they were all involved in the Stargate project, all involved in these underground, hidden, but are absolutely documented programs that our government has been a part of. And not just our government, world governments. So that's a big thing. But just know this is only a piece of the puzzle and a piece of connecting with the energy. I'll give you one of my stories from many. This is going back probably about 2 decades. I was working at Manhattan quite often doing a lot of psychic mediumship readings. I happened to do a reading for the wife of a lead investigator out of New York that was working on a cold case. I brought through quite a bit of information for her personally that she had asked me, have you ever done any type of remote viewing or missing persons, or have you ever done any of this type of investigating? I said, at that point, I had not. I said, but I would be open to it. Obviously, I'm not of law enforcement. I'm not a military guy, so I don't have the background, the authorization, but I can, if you give me a location or an area, or you tell me something that may possibly be going on and you want me to read the energy around that, what can we do? And I could tell you I was led to a very specific road with a very specific deli in an alley with lots of garbage recycling, and it did lead to a missing girl's piece of clothing. So I can't say I closed the case or I led them to the girl, but I did open a clue and I did lead them. And this was all from remote viewing and me looking remotely into certain aspects of her energy, where her energy could have been, if there's energy imprints in certain areas. And it did lead me to a missing girl's clothes. So I can tell you there is absolutely something to this, and not for someone that just wants to try to remote view, some faraway, distant mountain range or hidden location or underground tunnel. This has been utilized and used by law enforcement, detective agencies, missing persons, and a number of different aspects of what we're talking about here to actually close cases and to find, even if it wasn't a body, to find aspects of that person, clothing, jewelry, missing items. So this is absolutely documented. It has been proven. You're going to have to go down a couple rabbit holes to really see the whole spectrum of what this entails. And we're only going to be talking about a piece of this tonight, but there is so much more than what we could even explain in this episode.
Would you like to speak to someone and try this, or walk someone through it? What are you thinking, Michael? Well,
see, it's going to be hard for us to walk someone through because we really have to give them a latitude and a longitude, or a target point, and then they would sit. And they would have to work with their psychic abilities and allow that energy to unfold, basically clearing out the noise of the monkey mind. We go back to the Buddhist monks talking about the monkey mind, which interferes with all this psychic work. You have to quiet down the mind. It's a process. And then there's a target that you're actually gonna look and try to observe what you're seeing from an energy perspective in that, and a lot of information can come from that. I mean, we can take someone through, if someone has a reading. It just might be hard to actually do like a remote viewing target. And we'll have all, we could give a target and then we would have to let people go and kind of do that process and then come back and see what they had to say. So I think for tonight, it might be easier if we actually just let someone come on and do a reading, or if there's an aspect of their past life or something they wanted us to key in on. That might be a little bit easier, but we can do latitude and longitude and give some targets if people want to get into that.
Okay, well, we could just be open with it. I do sense that in this process and doing some of this work here, we are actually remote viewing at times, whether we realize it or not. Maybe it's just a snippet of what's going on, because when I give a suggestion, when I practice my telepathy or my psychic phenomenon on my lives on YouTube, I give a suggestion, and sometimes it's a suggestion of a location, and I do receive, and others do receive, visible clarity, some kind of very vivid experience. And I guess that's kind of remote viewing, but the whole target,
it absolutely is.
The location where you're giving the coordinates is taking it to a whole nother level. All right, well, let me just, how about if we just talk about what we do, and then we get on to, I'll do the ball of light, or you do a reading, and then I'll do a ball of light exercise, and then we'll bring our guest on. How does that sound?
Yeah, it sounds good.
Okay, so share with us what you do exactly, Michael.
So I am a psychic medium. I do private readings. I do message circles, group readings, galleries, workshops, classes. Easiest way to find me is go to Facebook, Eye of the Spirits with MichaelEdley.com. That's my Facebook page. Any events, anything that I'm doing currently, it'll be on there. You can also go to MichaelEdley.com, my website, MichaelEdley.com. And that'll also take you to a lot of my social media or anything I'm doing. If you're on Meetup, I do have a Eye of the Spirits with Mike Edley Meetup page too. So that's your best bet. But the most up-to-date information is probably going to be on my Facebook page, Eye of the Spirits with Michael Edley. And that way, if you wanted to reach out for an in-person or a Zoom reading, we could set that up. And anything else that would be in the spectrum of, galleries, message circles. If you have an event in your area and you'd like to see me there, let me know. But that's pretty much it. Anything that you would use a psychic mediumship for, you can reach out to me, and I'd be glad to help you.
Well, I am a firm believer that when we wake up, that we should write down our dreams, jot it down, a description, because our sleeping dreams are guiding us. They will give us answers. And lately, there's been so much light and energy swirling around us on this earth. It's been a battle, good versus evil, and we are awakening and we are ascending to a higher consciousness. We are ascending to the fifth dimension. We've been in this 3D matrix of simulation, and our dreams are going to show that. Maybe you're traveling to the astral realm, and you can find me online. I do have a dream journal, my dream journal, a diary, a personal diary of messages, signs, and symbols. It's available on Amazon. Also, I do have my YouTube channel, Mary Amy Official. I have the Roku channel, and it's under Awaken. My content is Spark Light. And you can find me on all the social medias. And usually we have that in our little description. All right, so how about, Michael, I grab someone for you to give some kind of reading. How about that?
All right. Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, hold on a sec. Let's see here. We have some I'm going to go to the very first. Let's see if it's a newbie, because sometimes people come on. All right, hold on. Here we go.
Just don't hang up on anybody.
Hello, who's this?
Hi, how are you?
Good. What's your name?
My name is Sharon.
Hi, Sharon. This is Mary and Michael.
Hey, Sharon, how are you?
Oh, how are you guys?
We
Very
are doing
interesting.
wonderful.
It's just
Yeah.
good.
Did you have a certain question for us?
I just wanted to know how my finances might look, or anything that comes to mind, really. I'm really open to anything that you might pick up.
All right. Anything around finances. Let's see. Sharon, can you just say your name one more time, just out loud to me? I just want to connect to the
Sharon.
energy of Sharon. The interesting thing immediately in your energy field, I don't know if June is a significant date in the family structure, birthday, anniversary, but I'm seeing June as a very significant date around you and in your energy field. So there's definitely some type of transition or some type of opportunity that will be showing itself around June. Can you take that June date for anything?
Yes, I'm going to. I have a wedding in Tuscany in June.
All right, cool. Excellent. All right, thank you for that.
Yeah.
I appreciate when we get a validation on that. Yeah, so June.
Sure.
The funny thing is, I'm going to do a little of my interpretation, which I don't normally do when I'm doing mediumship. But if June comes through in your energy field so prominently, there may be the aspect of trying to not go overboard around June, or if this can tie in. I don't know if this is a close family member or friends that you can get pulled into all kinds of expenses around the wedding, or is it one of your kids, or So I just sent.
Well, it's actually an all expenses paid wedding.
Oh,
so I could get caught up in shopping, yes, but wedding.
All right, then that's
I will
a good
give
thing.
a really nice gift, but yeah, it's great.
Oh, that's a wonderful thing then. So
Oh yeah.
That's just a good energy transfer there. So I would say, as long as you don't go crazy and go on these shopping sprees that are unbelievably psychotic and drunk rage, and you shop for everything.
No,
but just good energy around June. So that definitely is in your energy field. So I'm definitely sensing that. So that's good. So the wedding around that. So just lots of love, lots of positivity around that date. So for you, again, as I'm trying to focus in on your energy field, I'm also being drawn to some type of bookkeeping. So I'm actually seeing you with ledger books. So I don't know what this has to do with, if this is something that you're currently doing or something you maybe need to focus on, profit loss statements.
Well, I am in banking.
All right. That's why it's in your energy field. All right, cool. So now that I'm pulling some good solid hits around, psychically around your energy, I would definitely say you can probably read the field before other people can. You're in the business. You have a different perspective than other people do. I do think so. Personally, what I see, I do see some uncertainty going into this year, definitely around the automobile markets. We're already starting to see some fallout around there. How will that trickle down, and will that affect other markets? And you're probably a better one to ask than I am, being in the banking field. But I would say just move cautiously if you're gonna look at. So there's some type of entrepreneurial endeavor or some type of like side business hustle or side venture. I don't know if someone's asking you to invest in something they're doing or partner up, but what's going on with that? Because I sense something like a side hustle.
Well, I am close to retirement. I'm going to be 70, so this is something that. But I just basically wanted to, know how my finances would work out for this year, and just kind of like, I just want to wind down, So that was really what I'm getting at. So
the overwhelming energy I sense around this is stability. So I would say you're not a frivolous person. You definitely seem like a more stable. You probably scrutinize your expenses. You probably budget a lot of aspects of what you're doing. Not everything. There could be, the collectible thing that you buy, or the fun, little fun, enjoyable night out, But I do sense a lot of stability around you. So if you haven't been stable with your money, now is the time to start implementing that. But correct, you do, like, your energy, you do, to me, seem like a very stable, balanced person financially.
Well, I've tried to be, but of course, in life it gives you ups and downs, and so. But I just try to do what I can to save whatever I can and enjoy the rest. So
and that's it. You have to. You have to enjoy some of it. You can't go stir crazy with everything, but you have to be smart about it. I just sense a good, solid foundation around you. I think as long as you don't make any crazy investments and you keep things a little more on the safe side, you may not want to jump into the latest, greatest, type of new Bitcoin,
No.
But, something like that. If you're not familiar with it,
well,
I think
something risky.
Be smart with your investments.
Yeah.
If you're going to invest or put a large amount of money in that, know what you're getting into, study it, and you seem like the kind of person that would do your due diligence, would do your research. But what I sense around you as a very large indicator of prosperity would be the entrepreneurial thing. So I don't think you should discredit that or using some aspects of your job now to do a side hustle, to do a side venture. But I do a lot of positive energy around the entrepreneurial aspect of your life that you haven't tapped into yet.
Well, I'm really looking forward to that, because once I leave, I just want to do something on my own that can, just something that could make me happy and something that's profitable as well, but most of all, something that could make me happy.
Yeah, and it looks like you've been on this path to do that for yourself. You know, I definitely sense that you've been very wise in many decisions, even if there's been some stuff that, you know, set you back a little bit here or there. Overall, I don't see anything that I feel is, you know, it's probably unstable around you, unstable financially. I see a lot of financial stability as long as you don't make any crazy, over the top, you know,
risky decisions.
Very risky decisions. Well, you don't do that. I see a lot of, you know, a lot of solid foundation around you and around your finances. What are you getting, Mary Amy?
What I receive is, remind me your first name again?
Sharon.
Hi, Sharon. What I am sensing around you is I sense that you are surrounded by this very, very large garden of flowers. And I receive that you are a planner, and you have really, you almost, I don't think you overthink your decisions. I think you are set into a routine. You've set yourself into a routine, and that's where you're most happiest, when you have a predictability in your life. And I believe, I sense that you are in a place that you can kind of reach out of your comfort zone, and I'm something creative, something that you're going to use your imagination. It might be artistic. I know that you have this within your spirit. I'm sensing this, and that's what I've received, to reach out beyond. Maybe you start doing that now. Maybe you dabble into something that you never did before in the artistic field. That's what I'm.
Well, I am a pianist, and I am a pianist, and I do art. I try to be creative, but the garden of flowers, I don't want to take your time, because I know you have other people waiting. But I had a very vivid, lucid experience where I actually went to the other side, and I was in a garden, and the garden had the most beautiful flowers. It was right before my mom had passed away, and I never felt so loved and so overjoyed and so comforted in my whole life. And then I woke up, and and I'm on the Jewish faith, so there's no rabbi or anybody that could have comforted me more than having this experience. So I just must share that with you. So when you said a garden and garden of flowers, it was so amazing, that experience. But I knew I had been visited the other side, and this was where she would be, and that was the preparation for my mom's passing. I just understood that at that time. So
that's interesting. It was very strong. The visual that I have. I mean, I still see it right now. It's like all around you, and you're standing in the middle.
Yeah. I was unbelievable. I've never had it since. It was about 20 years ago, but it was incredible, and I just have never felt so loved. And at that time, I did realize that, I was home, actually, so it was really comforting and loving and wonderful. So, but I thank you so much. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate your insight.
Oh, thank you so much.
Of course. Yeah. Thank you for calling in, and I hope you continue to be a listener and maybe follow us if you want. And and practice. And I really think and sense that you should travel into some kind of artistic artistic, maybe not even the pianist, maybe beyond that, and something, I just see some kind of art. I see art, you and art for some reason. So that's my input.
I love art and I love music, and so but thank you guys again. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, that art may be a stepping stone, though, to release anything. If you're very caught up in your mind and the processes and the procedures of your job, that may be what you need, is to allow that come through, and that'll be the pathway of you connecting to that spiritual aspect of yourself. And in that spiritual being that you are, that's where you're going to find all these answers. That's where you're going to be led down. What path should your entrepreneurial venture be? When should you leave the job and retire? When, sit with that energy, sit with the energy of that garden. And I think that's why Mary Amy brought it back to your awareness. I think that was a very special place for you, and it's a very powerful place. And if you can find that space, again, you can quiet everything down and sit in that energy, that's where all the answers are going to come.
Absolutely. It's so therapeutic, and I think it's just a lovely place to be. Again, many blessings. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. You have a wonderful weekend. Be well.
And you as well. You as well. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, great. All right, so let's move right along. I would like to do this exercise of ball of light. And after our guests later on, if we have time, we will have another caller. How's that sound, Michael?
Sounds good.
Okay. All right, so I don't know if anyone knows what I'm referring to. I'm referring to creating light around your human energy field. So what I'd like everyone to do right now is I'd like everyone to get into a comfortable position. Okay? And so I always say, let's imagine all of our weight in our bottom, and we are going to shoot all of our weight down into the earth from the base of our spine, our root chakra, because we want to ground ourselves in this moment. And so you would relax. If you're sitting, if you were laying down, it's entirely up to you. If you would like to open your eyes or close your eyes, that's entirely up to you. So what I'd like everyone to do is to, like I said, put all of your weight in your bottom and put down your arms so you are relaxing and have all of the energy shooting down your arms through your fingers. And I would maybe let out a breath. And I'd like you to push away any doubt, because to do any of these exercises, it's about having self-confidence and a willingness to do this and believe in yourself. All right, so we're letting go of any tension in our bodies from the top of our head to the tip of our toes. So you want to feel maybe like a rag doll, and maybe let out a breath or any words that you need to let out, because sometimes we hold within us anxiety and stress by the end of the day. All right, so we're pushing away any doubt, and we're putting all of ourselves down into our physical vessel. We're going to have focus and concentration. And so let's have gratitude for this moment. Remind ourselves what's around us. Here we are in this moment together. All right, so now after we've relaxed, we've let out a breath, I'd like everyone to take their hands, and I'd like them to rub your palms together. So you're creating energy. You're creating a ball of light. So you want to take your hands away from your body, so they're in front of you, and you're rubbing your hands together. And now you want to separate your hands. Now you should feel some kind of little, whether it's energy on your palms, maybe a little prickly feeling, but you should feel something. So your hands are apart. Now, if you choose, you want to cup your hands, and you're creating a ball of light. So your hands are not together, There's space between the palms of your hands, and you're cupping your hands. And I'd like now, hopefully you still have that feeling on the palms of your hands. I would like you to move your ball of light that you've created around your physical energy field, which it would be around maybe your chest area, your stomach, your head, over your head, just around here. You are creating a ball of light. Okay? So light is a source of spiritual power, protection, and it's guiding you. And maybe you want to call out to light. Ask for light. You dismiss darkness. It's your choice. Now, maybe you feel uncomfortable being so awakened. You're going to possibly, the balance will be off and there will be a void, and you are going to release negative junk, and you are going to replace with this light that we are bringing around our physical energy field, our human energy field. Maybe you choose to send light to others. So what are we doing right now? Like I said, we are connecting to light that surrounds our human vessel. Now afterwards, maybe you want to put your hands together and you let it go. So you can do this from time to time, and you create a ball of light. And that's it. You there, Michael?
I'm here. I'm engulfed in white and yellow.
Did you see light? Did you feel light on your hands, or the ball of light?
Yes,
did you feel like
I did.
a little
I was
friction?
in the zone. I was in the zone. I was ready to float away.
Good.
No, that was good. That was a good one.
Yeah, it's pretty simple, and it's a little bit more difficult to do via audio rather than visual, but I'm sure everyone can figure it out. And I know it's a positive experience, because it's one thing we can, like I say, we tune into our heart space, or maybe we go down to our bottom within our human vessel and we create light and we expand it. But we also need light around us. And we all have this human energy field that surrounds our bodies. And we have the chakras that go up above our crown chakra. So this is advantageous. All right, now let's get on. We're going to have our guest, Debbie, holding. And Debbie is an ET contactee, interdimensional traveler, galactic Akashic record reader, and galactic historian. So after a fateful extraterrestrial contact experience a few years ago, through her ancestral connection with the Akashic records, she has been receiving downloads of galactic historical information and universal spiritual knowledge ever since. She's also a certified Akashic records reader and gifted intuitive, using information channeled from her Arcturian and Palladian guides to heal and assist others on their own spiritual journeys. She was a visitor. I don't know if she had her own show, but she was on Gaia TV. Now, for all of you out there who really are not familiar with what we're speaking of, or I'm speaking of in this moment, let me just share with you. We're going to bring her on. I'm just going to explain to you, what exactly is this? Okay, so we're talking about being an extraterrestrial contactee. Now, you can be an inner, which means they telepathically communicate with you, or you can actually be visited by an extraterrestrial, or maybe you are a person that has seen some kind of UFO. Now, extraterrestrials originate from civilizations off-planet, and they've been known to be called aliens from outside Earth's atmosphere and environment. Extraterrestrials are operators or passengers from UFOs, UAPs, spacecrafts, spaceships, which are highly advanced coordinators of time travel and capable of occupying anti-gravity vehicles. Now, there's some very famous recent alien encounters. There is speculation whether or not this was real or not, but just most recently, April 2023, there was a Las Vegas family that saw 8 to 10 foot tall beings in their backyard after seeing an object in the sky. I don't know if that was on the mainstream media. And then
we had
New
some
Year's
crazy
Day,
down in the Miami Mall too.
I know.
The Miami Mall.
That was the next one I was going to say. New Year's Day, the Miami Mall. Again, there was 8 to 10 foot tall aliens outside, and there was hundreds of police cars, and they were glowing and gliding. Then January 9th, there was 2 8 to 9 foot tall alien sightings on Hilltop in Miami, similarly lanky alien moving quickly. Now, way back when, in August 2023, I don't know if any of you are on social media, there was that famous story, the famous video of the woman on the plane, and she said, "That's not human, it's not real, I want to get off the plane." Monday, February 5th, there was an alien spacecraft, a mysterious object that crashed and was discovered in Antarctica, 2 Rocky Mountains. Ex-Navy officer claimed he witnessed a powerful machine capable of communicating with extraterrestrial crafts in deep space during a UFO meeting. This was 8 months ago. There's a famous, I'm just going to give you a little bit of tidbits. Alex Collier, ex-Army pilot, says he spent 3 months on a UFO mothership in the 1960s. So Andromedans, that's one of the species that we're going to probably mention tonight. Andromedans, Palladians, Arcturians, the Galactic Federation of Light, Akashic Records, and the Draconians. I don't know, I hear a ringing somewhere. I don't know what that is. It's funny, like here we are, psychic phenomenon going on. So Andromedans, this Alex Collier said that when he was on the mothership in the 1960s, he was with the Andromedans, and he wore a special belt to communicate with them, but only 18 minutes in Earth time. It's called time dilation, alternate dimensions. During a talk in 2007, our science tells us there are 100 billion galaxies, but we are only looking at one dimension. Andromedans say there are 100 trillion galaxies, and every galaxy has a life in it. We are not alone. Earth only use money. We are the only ones that use money, apparently. I'm going to bring her on in just 1 second, and let me just get on to UFOs quickly. UFOs are known also as UAPs now. There was a couple of incidents even going back to 1976, the Tehran incident. 2 Iranian Air Force fighter jets over the city of Tehran, an approaching object instrument failure to fire weapons, incredible speed UFO phenomenon. In 2006, the O'Hare Airport, there was a metallic spaceship over O'Hare, 20 to 30 feet, shot into the sky. The Stephenville lights in 2008, bright lights at night, information of arc, 15 minutes, many eyewitnesses. Then in Belgium, a UFO wave in 1989 to 1990, Belgium, triangular-shaped UFOs, low altitude, high speed. For months seen by thousands of people. And then last, the USS Omaha incident in 2019, a U.S. warship incident witnessed 158 miles per hour, 6-foot circular diameter, depths of 500 feet, submerged into water to air to trans-medium vehicle, different environments. So there you go. There's some information. She's also going to mention the Akashic Records. And the Akashic Records is a compilation of universal truth, wisdom, insight, knowledge of events, thoughts, emotions, intentions, past, present, and future. So let me bring her on because she is the expert here. And where is she? Hold on. Here she is.
Don't hang up.
I'm not hanging up.
Hello,
Debbie.
can you guys hear me? Yes.
We
Hey,
can.
Debbie, how are you?
Hello,
Hey,
welcome to Two Psychics.
Oh, thank you for having me on. You guys have quite the show here. You do a little bit of everything. This is amazing. Well, thank you for having me on tonight and for your interest in my story, which is a really strange story, but had a very happy ending, fortunately. So, yes. So anyway, just to recap, I am a galactic historian, but my favorite title is that I'm an ET contactee. So, you said it even more beautifully than I could myself.
Oh,
Mary Amy, you did say that well. So, Debbie, pleasure to have you on. Thank you so much for being a part of the Two Psychic Show. My question to you, so what I like to do, I like to dig in a little bit of what was going on before the encounter, or before the extraterrestrial contact? Now, as a child, did you experience a lot of psychic awareness? Were you tuned into this stuff? Or give us a little bit of your background growing up, and what was it like?
Oh, yeah, that's a good background question. Actually, I didn't have much to do with any psychic phenomena when I was growing up. At least I don't remember any. I had a couple of instances as a child when I think I might have had encounter with angels that probably were, rescuing me from some situation that could have been deadly. But I had some weird situations, like it was like a couple of them. But other than that, pretty ordinary upbringing. I was a military brat, or military. Came from a military family. We traveled the world quite a bit, and my family was, Roman Catholic, and we were brought up, in the Roman Catholic faith. So we didn't really talk about extraterrestrials or aliens or.
Right there with you. Right there with you.
Yeah. So kind of that was just not stuff you talked about, So. So I grew up with a very, just real ordinary, upbringing. I did eventually join the U.S. Navy, so I am a Navy veteran. I was in the Navy for 6 years. Then when I left my enlistment, I ended up working in the environmental health field, for public health for quite a few years. So I really come from a science background, and I honestly wasn't that interested or that tuned into extraterrestrial activity or UFOs or paranormal or anything like that.
Wow.
That's interesting. That's very cool, though. Now, do you think the military background kind of stifled you exploring and tuning into that type of stuff, or is it just kind of the route you were on, and what? Do you think that military control and the church, the Catholic Church, do you think that kind of stifled you really tuning in at an earlier age, or do you think it happened when it was meant to happen?
I think really it happened when it was meant to happen. I honestly don't think the military had any direct correlation with my awakening or my experience. Actually, I think what might have activated my experience was two things. First, I spent 6 years doing extensive volunteer work as part of an animal-assisted therapy team. I actually had a registered therapy animal named Piglet, who was a little hairless Sphinx cat, and she was one of only, I think, 4 cats that was registered through the American Humane Association, which is pretty amazing. And she and I used to visit nursing homes and libraries, the little, the reading programs they had at the library where kids would read to animals. And we also did quite a bit of work with the military, incidentally, because we were close to Fort Carson, which is an Army base in Colorado Springs. And we worked with the Wounded Warrior program. We also worked with quite a few of the Fallen Hero family programs. And we visited people in hospitals, that sort of thing. So we had this amazing journey together, my cat and I. But I think, the reason why I bring it up as a kind of a precursor to my extraterrestrial contact experience is because I think in a way I was being prepped for the experience, even though I didn't realize it at the time, by learning how to be of service to others, So I did all of this work on, my own time. I was still working a full-time job, but, I would spend evenings and weekends and any time I had off, doing this volunteer work. And then I started dating my now husband, who he did have an interest in UFOs. And I think that's really how I kind of tuned into that was I was very skeptical. I didn't think UFOs or extraterrestrials existed, but he was reading all these articles. It's like, okay, I guess I'm going to read, just to kind of connect with him somehow. But it didn't really register. I never ever would have imagined, oh yeah, maybe I'll have this kind of experience. It was just something that happened. But what, as far as my extraterrestrial contact experience, that happened, the first encounter happened in May 2012. And it happened after I had a sleepless night, and I was sending out this massive prayer to the universe asking for divine assistance for planet Earth, because Earth was going into hell in a handbasket, and I felt like we needed a lot of help. So that's what I think triggered it all. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, no, that's great. And what I find really interesting, I think some of the best researchers are the people that were skeptical. The people that just didn't jump all in and say, yeah, this is all 100% accurate, and want to really do their own investigative research and get their own insight and their own perspective. And that's why we're doing this too. That's why we do what we're doing at Two Psychics. Same thing, and that's awesome. I think that's a great story.
So Debbie, when you had this experience, did they come to you telepathically? Because you said you had this prayer. You reached out to I guess some kind of source. Did they then how did they contact you?
That's a great question. It's just an extraordinary experience. I sent out this prayer, and I was sending it out to, all the major players I knew of, the angels, Mother Mary, Jesus, the archangels, all those folks. But then at the end, I added in Galactic Brothers and Sisters, and I don't even know why I even added that in. But I said this prayer, and then, the next day I went to work as normal, things went back to normal, nothing happened, and I forgot about the prayer. And then about approximately 2 weeks after I had that night where I said the prayers, I went to sleep, as normal. And when I came back into consciousness, I was in some different reality. And it wasn't a dream. I've never had a lucid dream like this. It was very, very, very real. When you're in the higher dimensions, everything is crisp and clear. I mean, even more so than 3D. That's the third dimension. So everything's crisp and clear, and the colors are more brilliant. You see auras around things. This was no dream. It felt very, very, very real. I call it a hyper reality. It was like I had kind of an out of body experience where I found myself on board an extraterrestrial starship. I don't know if physically I was there. I think maybe my consciousness was there, but when I would look at myself while on board the ship, I looked just like myself. I mean, it wasn't like I was a ball of light or anything. I had a, human form, my normal human form. So it was a little weird, but I was definitely there. And I remember being on board the ship, and it seemed like a sentient being because it was kind of directing me. Like it's hard to describe what the ship was like because it wasn't like something you would see in a sci-fi movie, where it looks really metallic, like somebody built it. This ship looked like it was comprised of light. It had organic components. It had some sort of plasma. There was a substance to it, so it wasn't just I'm walking into light, but it directed me towards a room, and this room was really big. And when I went into the room, there was 4 or 5 extraterrestrial beings waiting for me in this room, and I knew they were extraterrestrial because I've never seen anything look like how they look like. I mean, they were obviously not from planet Earth. And to describe them, at first, I couldn't really see them because their auras were really bright. They had a lot multicolored auras, colors I have never seen, before. And if I could glance in the periphery, I could see kind of what they physically looked like. And they looked alien. They had the larger heads, the bigger eyes, but I could tell right away they weren't gray aliens. At first glance, you might think, oh, these are gray aliens, but they did not, on closer observation, they were not gray aliens. There was some marked differences. They had pupils and irises in their eyes. That was a big difference. Their features were more refined. They had kind of a bluish tint or bluish greenish cast to their skin. And they were small. I mean, I think they were pulling themselves down. They're pulling their vibration down to interact with me. So that might have been why they appeared small, because I know Arcturians can be very, very tall, but these beings were probably about my height. I'm about 5 foot, so I can interact with them and not be afraid. And I was thinking, do they understand English? How do I communicate with them? And as I was thinking the questions in my head, they were answering my questions. So that was amazing. So they were communicating with me telepathically.
That's pretty wild. That is awesome.
How long was this experience?
That's a good question. I know, I think it was Michael mentioning that before, that sometimes you might be, or maybe it was you, Mary Amy, but sometimes you might be in some alternate reality, and you may be only gone for a short time, but it feels like you were gone for a very, very long time. And that's how it felt like. It felt like I was there for months, but I was only gone for a few hours, during my, dream, my sleep time, so it was weird because I felt like I was in that space, and I was just asking questions to the Arcturians one after another, and they had me in some sort of holographic sphere where sometimes they would communicate with me via telepathy, and other times they would illustrate their concepts through the hologram. And this hologram was so realistic, you felt like you were actually there, like they would show you like a star map with, because I asked them where they were from, and they said, oh, we're Arcturians from Arcturus in the Bodas constellation. And I didn't know what the heck that was. So they had to illustrate, star map and show me where it was located. That's just one example of a question I asked them. I asked them a lot of questions about what was happening on planet Earth, why things were so messed up here. And the one thing they did tell me over and over and over again, that everything in our third dimension is an illusion. It's not reality. It's not the real reality. It's kind of like a false matrix construct that we all chose to be a part of, during this timeline. But they did also tell me that a lot of, the systems that I thought were real, like government, religion, education, was all man-made constructs. It's not real. I did ask them a question about what religion do you follow, and they told me we don't follow a religion. We have a direct connection with Source, so we don't need to follow a religion. And that kind of blew my mind, being raised Roman Catholic. So, but I was there for quite a while, and I wasn't just in that room. They also took me to several other spaces on board the ship, and then the ship was huge. It was like city-sized. It had hundreds of extraterrestrials on board the ship. And not all of them were Arcturians. They had extraterrestrials of all different races and species. So I was able to interact with other beings on board the ship, particularly a Pleiadian individual. And they had me in some sort of a big atrium, like the centermost point of the ship. It was huge. It was several stories high. it was just unlike anything I've ever seen. And there was these light shafts that would transport these beings from one part of the atrium to another. And I tried to get on the light shaft, and then I kept getting thrown off. So a Pleiadian male caught me and said, hey, the reason why you're not able to get on is you're not setting intention on where you want to go. You need to think about where you want to go first, then step on the light. And then I was like, okay, you know what you're doing. I'm going to follow what you're doing. So I just decided where I was going to go, stepped on the shaft, and I was being transported across this huge space. And then the next thing I knew, I woke up and I was in my bed. Darn it. So I wanted to stay there, obviously, but it was such an amazing experience. And I knew when I woke up, after that experience, that life was never going to be the same for me, that somehow something, profoundly shifted for me. I just didn't know what yet. And I do remember the first person I called was my husband. I called him up and I told him, oh my God, you're never going to believe it. I just had this experience. I think it was a contact experience. And he didn't believe me at first. He thought I was having a crazy dream. But since then, I did have another experience very similar to the first one in that same year in December. Same thing happened. I went to bed, went to sleep, and then I found myself on board the extraterrestrial starcraft. And this time I was greeted by the Pleiadian male who helped me with the light shaft, and he and another Pleiadian female were communicating with me and telling me some more personal information about certain family members and friends and things like that. And they told me about my cat, my before mentioned cat, Piglet. And they told me that Piglet isn't really a cat. She was a Pleiadian being that had a contract with me to help awaken me. And she chose to incarnate as a cat to have a short-term contract with me. And she was actually from the Pleiadian Light Council or something like that. But part of her work was to help humans through the animal-assisted therapy work that we did. So that was just an amazing realization. After I had those experiences, I noticed that my extrasensory perception increased 100-fold, where I didn't have any abilities before my experiences. After I had my experiences, I was downloading quite a bit of galactic historical information, a lot of information about star systems and star races that I've never ever, had any exposure to before. And I don't have a background in astronomy, and all of a sudden I knew all these star systems, which was weird. And then I started having weird experiences where I was seeing UFOs quite often. I was even telepathically communicating with a UFO at one time. Had interdimensional traveling experiences, astro travels. I mean, it's just been kind of a wild ride. I thought for a while I was going crazy. So I started doing a lot of research on my own to kind of collaborate. What are these downloads? What does this mean? And Alex Colliera, incidentally, was one of the first people I encountered through my research, and he was collaborating a lot of the things I was seeing. He and Alyssa Royale Holt and Dolores Cannon and Edgar Cayce, and so I was starting to get connected with all of these forerunners who were collaborating what I was downloading. I did start taking a lot of spiritual classes. So like I said, my life completely did like a 180, where now I was really focused on spirituality and the paranormal. So I just started taking any kind of spiritual class I could throughout the whole Front Range of Colorado. I live just south of Denver. So, and Colorado we're pretty awakened here. I would say we have a very strong spiritual presence, here in the United States. And, you pretty much can have access to any spiritual modality here. But I ended up taking a bunch of courses, and at the same time, I was getting downloads of information about people, kind of like you guys do with, you and Michael, Mary Amy, about how you guys do readings for people and you get psychic imprints about people. That was starting to happen to me too. And I was like, where's this information coming from?
And would that happen as you started focusing more in on the Akashic records and started navigating that energy? Did it start opening and unfolding more for you, or what was the situation with that?
Actually, this was even before I even knew the Akashic records existed.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I was just getting random streams of information, like real personal information about people, and I was like, where is this coming from? And at the same during this time, I was taking a Reiki course here in my hometown of Castle Rock. Like I said, I just live south of Denver, and I asked my teacher, I kind of told her what was going on. I asked her, what is this? And she said, oh, it sounds like you're getting downloads from the Akashic records. I said, what are the Akashic records? And this was like back in 2014. And she told me, and she said she was offering a course on how to read them. And I was like, okay, sounds like something I need to take. And I took 3 levels, three levels of Akashic records reading. But after even the first level, I was starting to do readings professionally, where it just seemed like I had a natural knack for it. So, and I've done, I think, these readings now for about 10 years, since 2014. And I've done thousands and thousands of Akashic readings. I mean, all throughout different parts of the planet. I mean, I had clients all around the world. I mean, it was amazing. And through my access to the records, I was able to connect with these different galactic star systems and extraterrestrial races and their story, their history, their civilizations. And I started seeing patterns between individuals, and a lot of us are starseeds. We'll get into that description in a minute, but a lot of us, our souls didn't originate from planet Earth. We're just choosing to be here during this timeline. But
I'm a starseed.
Yeah, what's that?
I'm a starseed. We talked about that last
week. Mary Amy. For sure. So is Michael.
For sure. I know. I'm like already connected to you, and I just have so much to talk to you outside of this show tonight.
We can keep this going for hours, that's for sure.
Yeah, we can talk about this for 5 hours. but your podcast is limited. So, but anyway, just to give a description to your listeners, a starseed is a human whose soul is pretty much an ancient soul whose soul originated from a different star system, different galaxy, different universe. So you're an ancient soul that is just choosing to have a human experience here on Earth. But your soul actually originated from someplace outside of Earth. So I don't know if that helps, but and so a lot of the readings I was doing for people, I was, just like Dolores Cannon used to do with her, hypnosis sessions. She was finding that, a lot of people were not from here originally, and I was finding the same thing. I was like, oh my gosh, these people are ancient souls. They've had many incarnations even beyond Earth, so I was starting to see patterns with, different star lineages and, interests that people would have in certain career fields or certain health issues they might be having or certain lessons that they're to choose to learn, that sort of thing. And so I'm currently working on a book compiling all this information, but I hope
now, Debbie, question for you. Do you find that humans tend to reincarnate into do we work with a specific extraterrestrial? Is there a specific race that we work with or we're more closely tied to, or what would be your perspective as far as say if we have 10 humans, how many of them are going to reincarnate a secondary human existence, or how many are going to go on and would reincarnate into a future alien
That's an
life?
interesting question. It depends on the timeline. Like in this particular timeline, ever since World War II, and I know Dolores Cannon talks about this in her book called the 3 Waves of Volunteers in New Earth, which is an amazing book if you want to start, figuring out what's going on with the starseed thing. But she talks about how many of us starseeds started incarnating after World War II because the galactic commands were concerned about, Earth blowing itself up after the atomic bomb, went off in Hiroshima. So we came in to help activate the ascension process. But to answer your question, Michael, I would say it depends on the individual, but I would say a lot of us have contracts with certain star races. Like maybe our star system of origin or the star system that we feel most closely connected with. In my case, it would be the Arcturians. Maybe for Mary Amy, it might be Pleiadian. I don't know, but
it's the Arcturians, actually.
Okay, gotcha. Okay,
yeah, but I've had very similar experiences that you've described, and I want to just what I sense is what's interesting is I sense how does this happen to us here? How do we have these encounters, these experiences? And I'm wondering, and you can kind of maybe give me your take on this, is it because we are raising our vibration by, you said, service to others, compassion, love, forgiveness, and self-love? And so we raise our vibration, and then we are operating on a higher vibration, a higher frequency, and consciousness. And then we, like you had done that prayer, so you put it out to them, and then they, in turn, heard you or connected to you, and they were able to communicate with you. Is that what you sense happens?
Yes, I think that you're pretty on track with that. It's almost like our souls come in for a certain mission, but because we are born into the third dimension, and there's a heavy veil of forgetfulness that you go through when you go into the third dimension, because it's such a dense reality that you forget everything. So you almost, it's like your higher self or your higher guidance leaves little breadcrumbs, like Hansel and Gretel, he leaves little breadcrumbs for you to reach the state of higher consciousness. And for me, the breadcrumbs was, at least the initial one. That's why I brought up the story of my animal-assisted therapy work, because that was a breadcrumb. Connecting with my, husband was another breadcrumb. Meeting my teacher that told me about the Akashic records, that's another breadcrumb. So with each, encounter, in each, realization, our consciousness starts expanding. And so then we are raising our vibrations, and we may not even really consciously realize it, in, our, 3D everyday lives, but our vibrations are raising, so we can able to meet, these extraterrestrial beings or these higher dimensional beings, halfway, so, but I do think, if you start, showing a desire to assist, to be of service, that's going to fast track you into that ascension process. Whether or not you end up having an extraterrestrial contact experience or not, that's something that's between you and your higher self. But in my case, I was very unawakened. And that didn't happen to me until I turned 50. I'm 61 now, so it doesn't, so it's not like, oh, you have to be young for this to happen or have to be a certain age. It could happen at any age. But, for me, that was, I guess, the contracted age. I'm not sure. But yeah, that's a really great question, Mary Amy.
One more. do you sense that your mission is to explore this so that others are aware because of how we are headed into the golden age, the age of Aquarius?
I feel like my mission is to help people to remember that we're part of a greater galactic family, that we're not just these ordinary, mundane humans having one lifetime that has no meaning here on this planet. Many of us, and this includes even a lot of your listeners out there, are starseeds. They have had lifetimes even beyond planet Earth, but because of the heavy veil of forgetfulness here, they might have forgotten. So I feel like through sharing information about galactic history, about the Galactic Akashic records, about developing psychic abilities, that it'll activate something within people, and that we'll start remembering, where we came from. And it's not only about the past; it's a multidimensional experience where, hey, I'm a multidimensional being. I'm just having this human experience in this particular timeline, and I've chosen to do this. None of us are victims here. We've all chosen to be here. But yeah, I would say that yes, it is part of my mission to help us. It gets in my own small way to help us. Develop the skills needed to move forward in ascension. So that's why I'm doing all the public figure kind of work, speaking at conferences, going on Gaia TV, that sort of thing. So, but thank you.
That's an awesome story for us, Debbie. Now, one question I think all of our listeners would want to know, if there's like one specific thing that you would say can totally shift your awareness and start to open you into these frequencies of energy, open you into this contact, what would be the one specific thing that you would recommend that we could all do?
Oh, that's a great question. I would say one thing that we can all do that's really easy is besides just meditation, because we've all worked with meditation, but is to really develop our third eye. Really try to decalcify it. Do whatever you need to do physically to decalcify your third eye, and really work with recognizing frequencies through developing your third eye. And you can do meditations on this. This is a real easy meditation that people can do, is just to do a 4-count breathing. So they will inhale for 4 counts, hold it for 4 counts, and then exhale for 4 counts. And while doing this, they just really focus their energy into the third eye with their eyes closed. And then more often than not, you'll start seeing colors, or you'll start maybe feeling a vibration or hearing a humming of some sort. It's different for different people. That's when you know that your third eye is starting to develop. And through developing the third eye, and you'll start having more success with your meditation practice, where you start receiving downloads of, maybe you're having a clairaudient experience where you're receiving downloads from certain guides, that sort of thing. Maybe through that, you'll start remembering some of your extraterrestrial past lives. I don't know, or life, or even some of your past Earth lives. But I would say that's the one skill. I do offer a course on how to develop the skill, and it's on my website. I'm not trying to upsell people on my courses, but if you're interested, the course is called Recognizing Extraterrestrial Frequencies. And it's a really inexpensive course, like $44. You get 2 hours of, really good information. So that's one way you can develop these skills.
Oh, that's great. Thank you so much for sharing that. Really appreciate that. And I think the fundamental foundation to all this is we are working with energy. We are that spiritual being, and we need to get back to that, and we need to work with these energy structures that are around us, this divine presence that's within us, and Yeah, that was excellent. Thank you so much. I think everyone can take a piece of that, and in one way, shape, or form, they can start working with their own energy, their psychic development, and that's just great. I really appreciate you sharing that with our audience.
Oh yeah, you're welcome. It's like I said, super easy, but I mean, it takes a little practice. But
so, what's your thoughts on toothpaste?
Toothpaste. I definitely go fluoride free. So.
Fluoride free. That's the other thing, everyone. Don't buy that fluoride ridden toothpaste. Clouds up.
No,
calcifies.
My husband is a stickler for doing fluoride free, staying away from all the GMOs and the crap and all the toxicity that's in our products. So we try to live as clean of a life as possible. But there's a lot of fluoride in the public water system too. Yeah. So our particular municipality here, for some reason, the county I live in, they don't put fluoride in the water, which is really amazing. But
well, that's good.
Yeah, my husband actually called and asked them, but with municipalities that do add fluoride to the water, you might want to consider maybe investing in some sort of a water filter of some sort. So that would definitely help.
Yeah,
Debbie,
absolutely.
Your story basically stems that you were not involved in extraterrestrial thought or UFOs, and you came from, as you said, a pretty normal background. Those around you, after you had these experiences, what was their reaction to you coming out and saying, "This happened to me"? How was that for you?
Oh, that's a wonderful question. It's part of my story too. Part of my struggles, I guess. After I had my experience in 2016, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. Fortunately, they caught it early, so I was, I think, stage 1. But at that point, I really wanted to quit my 3D job. I had worked for the county health department for many, many years. I think it was like 17 years. And I was at the point where, hey, I need to go in a different direction. And I got a lot of pushback from my husband, despite his beliefs. I think he just was dealing with his own fears around finances. He was afraid that, if I quit my job, I wasn't going to, we're going to have to, really change our budget or, adjust our budget. I don't know. But, which was kind of ironic because actually after I retired from my county position in 2019, my income just increased like fourfold. Money was never even an issue, but I got a lot of pushback from my family too. They thought I was spending too much time on the spiritual stuff. They didn't understand it. They were telling me, you should quit this Akashic reading stuff and, focus on your regular job. And I was like, nope, So I got some pushback. And obviously I couldn't even tell anybody I worked with at my normal job what I did I couldn't tell them, I do this woo-woo stuff on the side. So that's why I came up with the name Debbie Solaris. So nobody, from my workplace would know what I do, So Debbie Solaris isn't it's my spiritual name. It's not my actual name, but there was a time where I didn't even really share my story publicly for a long time because I was really afraid to be ridiculed. I didn't really share my story until 2000 and I think December 2015. So there was navigating that was really interesting. I think a lot of us as starseeds and as light workers, a lot of times when we're on we're embarking on a spiritual path, we get weird looks from people. We get people that tell us we're crazy. Maybe this creates a rift between us and our, spouses or our families. So great question.
So we're running out of time, but I have one more question. I don't know if Michael has any more. Regarding the Akashic records, can you kind of explain, whatever you'd like to share with us, what exactly that is? When you give a reading, what is the process, or what does the client go through?
No, that's a good question. So when I do a reading, obviously I'm having to raise my vibration. And I do this through kind of a little bit of a ritual or a process where I, basically I'll have, let's say I'm doing a reading for a client and I'm meeting up with a client on Zoom or on, Google Meet or whatever. I have their full name. I have their birth date. That's really all I need to connect with their records. So what I usually do is I create this column of light that connects, me with the higher Akashic realm. And then I'll do what I call the divine heart triangle. So I'm connecting my heart chakra with my client's heart chakra, and then we connect with Source. That helps to really raise vibration between me and my client. And then I go through what's called the pathway prayer process. So I was trained in the Linda Howe method of Akashic reading, so I pretty much use her pathway prayer process to access the records. So I'll ask for the records to be open, and then immediately I'll feel this kind of a click or this kind of a shift in my brain, and then I'm connected with the records. I don't see the records like a library. Obviously I'm connecting with the Akashic guides and my clients' guides and my guides, but it's kind of like I'm picking out like a crystalline form that contains my client's story, and I'm opening it up and I'm just seeing this beautiful movie that plays out. Actually, when I go through the Akashic records reading, when I'm reading records for somebody, it's kind of a multi-clair experience where I'll be maybe hearing sounds or hearing the guides talking to me or hearing music sometimes. I might smell smells. A lot of times I feel the feelings that my clients felt during that particular lifetime. So it could be very draining, because you're having to try to navigate what's going on and trying to interpret to your client what you're seeing and what you're experiencing. So a lot of times I'm seeing their stories. And I try to do it in somewhat of a linear fashion. Sometimes it doesn't come across that way, but I try to start at the inception of their soul, so whenever that happened, whether it happened on planet or off planet, but for a lot of us it was off planet, but I'm just seeing the story play out, and it's kind of like a 180-degree view of their soul's journey, and it might be in different dimensions, so and a lot of times, let's say my client had a lifetime that started off in the Lyra constellation. We'll just use that as an example. So what happened to them in Lyra? What were they doing? What experiences did they have? How does that impact them today? To me, it's kind of nice to know past lives, but if there's nothing in it that helps us today, then what's the point? You know what I'm saying? So what I'm trying to find is, why are the Akashic guides showing me this particular story? There's a relevance to their present life. So I don't know if that answers your question, but
oh my gosh, you totally did. It's fascinating, and it's a glimpse into someone else's life. And is there a time span that you go through, or is every experience different with each client?
By time span, you mean
like their time in their life? I mean, are you getting? It's got to be very overwhelming, or is it so comfortable now that you've been doing it, you're used to it?
I'm pretty much used to it, but for new readers, or even myself, when I was first starting to read the records, you get so much information at once, and it could be really overwhelming. You're just like, whoa, what's all this? So a lot of times I'll just kind of glom on to one particular story. Usually, I try to go as far back as I can, and usually it'll, lead to another story and another story, but I'm so used to navigating the records, it's pretty easy for me. But that comes with a lot of practice.
How long have you been doing this?
For about 10 years. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I'm a relative newcomer, actually, and I know a lot of practitioners who've been, doing the, work for like 30 years. I'm not that person, but I feel like I was on this fast track that I developed very rapidly once I awakened.
Yeah, that's awesome. And one thing that I found so beautiful is when you were talking about how all of us are looking for that divine connection to source. We have, how certain realms of existence have that direct connection to source. And I think that's part of why we do this. We all want to open that pathway, and we all want to empower not only ourselves, but anyone that's listening, is to empower yourself with that divine connection to source that we all have.
Absolutely, Michael. That you couldn't have said it any better. But and these stories about, or these experiences that we've had in, alternate star systems, it's not our entire identity. It's just a piece of our soul experience. So, so a lot of times people get over-invested into the concept of being a starseed, like, oh, I'm a Pleiadian starseed, or I'm an Andromedan starseed. And it's just a part of our story. All of us are soul shards of Source. We all originated from Source. And we all are at the same time working our way back towards Source. So it's kind of like an inverted bell curve where we started off in the highest dimensions, which each lifetime we went lower and lower in dimension. We're here at the lowest point right now, point 0 on planet Earth, and then we're going to work our way back up and rejoin Source again. So that's the ultimate goal, is to, and this whole point of this experience really is to see how far separated can we get from Source and still be connected with Source. Like we're pretty separated here on, we're never really truly separated. It feels like we're very separated here on Earth, but a lot of us still have connections with Source. So how amazing is that? So, and we're here to be of service and here to help others and here to help, raise the vibration of this planet. So we're on an incredible, we're here during an incredible time and here on an incredible journey.
Yeah, absolutely. That was said perfectly.
I am so grateful that you were here tonight with us and you shared this, because I sense that you have raised our listeners' vibration. I know that through individuals who have reached a higher frequency, you probably have activated some of our listeners with your information, because it's, like you said, jarring their memory, bringing them forward, helping them to awaken. Is there anything you would like to share with our listeners? Any last message? And I'd love for you to tell us, any services that you would like to describe or share with us.
Oh, sure. I guess the message that I would like to share with your listeners is to really explore any intuitive downloads you might be getting, or any connections with, I would say, guides, or any, fleeting memories you might have of another reality. Just really explore that, maybe through meditation or through doing a quantum, what they call a quantum healing hypnosis technique, QHHT session, past life regression, or an Akashic reading, because that's going to really help activate you on, the higher scale of your spiritual journey. As far as my services, unfortunately, as of last year, I've I've stopped doing personal readings for, I guess, a personal reason. So I'm not currently doing personal readings at this time, but if you want to learn to do what I do, which is accessing the Galactic Akashic records, I am offering a Galactic Akashic reading course in April. It's going to be an 8-week course, so it's April and May. And it's all online. We do meet on Zoom once a week, but it's mostly at your pace online, lots of videos, materials, things like that. So I am offering that April 1st. You can go on my website and get more information about it. And I'm also doing a little webinar on March 3rd called the Elemental Beings in Galactic History, all about fairies and mermaids and all the beings that we all love. So I do those periodically, those types of webinars. I'm also going to be at the Sedona Ascension Retreat Conference in March 8th through the 10th. So if you want to see me in person, that would be the best place to do so.
You are wonderful. You are a blessing here on Earth, and I am so glad that maybe I haven't met you physically, but I've heard your voice, and we're speaking and we're connecting, and I already sense there's telepathy going on between us. So,
Mary Amy, you're Mercury Starseed. I'm sure there's some connection there.
I know I am. I have stories to tell you. I mean, we can have a conversation at some point because I have a very strong connection with you, and I immediately did, and I guess that's why I said I guess she's it. I would like to bring her on because I know that you had information or you have information to share, and that's what a purpose is for me, is to kind of bring forward those that are supposed to be heard, and you're one of those. So thank you very much for joining us here on Two Psychics.
Yes, thank you so much, Debbie. It was a pleasure having you on the show, and you brought through a lot of great information that our listeners can now deep dive into. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you for having me. It's been a real pleasure.
Everyone can find all of Debbie's information on the description, her website, her email, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. Consider the Akashic Records. And thank you so much, Debbie.
Thank you. It's been great.
Thank you. Pleasure having you.
Have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you.
Okay, be well. Talk soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Oh my goodness, that was unbelievable.
That was good.
Like a legit contactee.
What I really like about having many different guests, we can look at certain things that are similar. The energy that Debbie's connecting to with any of the Galactic Federation she's contacting, when she's remote viewing any of that information, when she's tapping into the Akashic Records, any aspect of that, there's so much similarities between what she's doing and between like someone like me, and it's really, being a medium, we're really working with the energy around us, the energy that's within, and it's really cool to get different perspectives, and we can see how it all overlaps and it's all connected. We really are truly all connected.
I am fascinated by that, and I wonder, I'm probably going to have some very interesting dreams this evening. Okay, so we have time. Would you like to do one more caller?
Woo! Last caller of the night. Sure.
Okay. Before we get on to that, I'm just going to remind everyone about what's upcoming because I don't know how long the caller is going to take. So we will be back next week, and we are going to be solo, the two of us, the two co-hosts, and we are coming back on Thursday the 22nd at 7:30, and we will be doing readings, and we will have a topic, and we'll talk about psychic powers, and then next month we are going to have Dave Flat Earther. That is the one guest that I have lined up. I have someone else that it looks like we're going to get to, but so next week the 22nd. All right, moving on. Let me grab the individual holding the longest. Let's see. Someone has been holding for 58 minutes. So I am going to grab them. Hello, who's calling?
Hey, this is Val. How are you? And thank you.
Hi, Val. Hi, Val. How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Good. Where are you calling from, Val?
I am in New York.
Oh, okay, Val.
Fellow East Coaster.
Go ahead. Take it away, Michael.
I have to just say first, Debbie was amazing. That blew me away to listen to her.
Yeah, it's so cool when we can deep dive into some of these aspects of energy connections, and we see how it's all intertwined. And she's doing a phenomenal job with it. And yeah, I can't wait till we have her on again.
I wish she was closer. Can we get her here to New York? I'd take a trip down that way just to sit. I'm sure she's got many more incredible stories. Wow. That blew me away.
Tune in. I just saw a great interview with her on Gaia TV. It was pretty cool, So there's a lot of information.
Gaia?
Yeah, Gaia, GAIA. Pretty big kind of new age holistic network, and she's got a lot of stuff on there. Her YouTube channel, but yeah, I would love to have her down for a live in-person event. Maybe we'll pack a stadium, Mary Amy. What do you think? We get a nice stadium or a theater, and we show?
And more. Yes. I'm on board with that. We can gather all of these guests that we've had, and we can create a whole event.
So getting back to Val. So Val, thank you so much for all the kind words about Debbie. We thought she was a fabulous guest also. So glad you enjoyed that part of the show.
You.
Now the part of the show is, what question do you have for us?
Oh, boy. Well, I would just like to know anything, primarily about, I guess, love and a certain person. Well, love, and if he fits in the equation.
Oh, if he sits in the... Oh, put a lot of pressure on me for this one.
No.
So I don't know what... We're gonna bring some names up now. So I'm kind of tuned in a little bit, and I'm wondering significance of the E initial around you. Is there an Ed, an Edward, an Eddie, E? Do we have what is there significance to the E? Is this now remember, you're talking to a medium, so I might not be talking about someone here in the physical. I could be talking to someone in the spirit realm around you too, but immediately when I'm connecting with your energy, the E is very prominent, and I feel like I'm hearing Ed. I feel like I'm hearing the name Ed around that.
Oh gosh, I was a guy I dated about 35 years ago. But no significance at all.
But there was a guy that question. Now we're gonna take a little spin on this one.
Yeah.
Is Ed in spirit? Do you know? Is he in spirit? Is he in spirit around you?
No, he's not.
He's still alive?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good. Okay.
Yeah, I'm glad he's alive, but I'm glad he's not around me.
No, that's good because that I'm just seeing the E and the name Ed very prominent in your energy field. So I don't know if you were thinking about his energy.
I will say this, and it's ironic you bring it up. There was an event going on that I was invited to. It was kind of throughout a huge city, and it was with different restaurants, and it was a chowder fest. And he was one of the restaurants participating, and I was just asked to go last weekend. And when I realized I was reading through the names of the restaurants, I wonder who's participating in this. And he was. So, yeah, I guess in a roundabout way, it's just been in my head, like, I know he's pretty successful now, doing well, and I'm glad for him.
It is in your Akashic records. It is in your Akashic records.
I guess so. But he's not the one I'm thinking of.
No, but the interesting thing, so I want to connect to this energy, though, because this is, on a psychic level, this is what we're tuning into. We're tuning into the energy around this. So let me just bring through a little bit of information around this of what I sense around it. So I do think you're going into a cycle where you need to take some chances on the relationships. I think you want to get out of like the cookie cutter, every I is dotted, every T is crossed for this specific personality, characteristic, job. This is the music he listens to. This is the kind of car he drives. I think you need to let go of some self-imposed restrictions. So that's what comes to me around this. I feel like whether this is old relationships or old energy cycles that you've gone through that you don't feel as if they're the highest and best for you on a romantic level, I'm gonna challenge you to actually revisit some of these old energy cycles. Why that name Ed came up. I do think prominently in your energy field, there's some old cycles in regard to that connection to Ed. So I don't know if there were characteristics of Ed that you said, I never want those characteristics in a future guy I'm going to date. I don't know but something like that. Like there's some kind of mannerisms, characteristics, personality traits, something from a past connection that I would say you were very, very big at this point of not connecting with any of those at this point. You wanted to move in a complete polar opposite. But I think you may need to revisit some past relationships and look at those in aspect of, could that have been something on your end that you could have shifted or looked at differently? Or was it, something that this is a non-negotiable and there's no way I could possibly have that in my future relationship? I just think
cheating is not going in my future relation. Being cheated on won't be one of the things in my future relationship.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. So then that's what we got to look at. We got to look at the trust around that. And so my thing would be, so when you speak about that, the funny thing is the shift in your energy, when you just said that I'm not going to be cheated on again, there was such a shift of like control, like I need to control everything around me in order for me to not be cheated on again. I felt that in your energy field a little bit. Now, granted, that is definitely something you don't want to happen again. You don't want to be taken advantage of again. You don't want to open, your energy field and your time and your commitment to someone that may not have that, that for you. But what I would say is don't necessarily cut off everything of the past or different relationships or aspects of people. Because I do feel there's lots of opportunity that could present itself, but I don't know. This is a weird thing. I almost feel like if there's old concerts that you went, like a certain type of music you went to, or a certain venue that you hung out at, so if it's a certain type of, musical bar or like a NASCAR thing, or you're just out on the water, I think you should revisit things that you've already done and had positive experiences around, but not necessarily with the right person in that environment. I don't want you to shut off all past experiences.
Oh, no, never.
Live in the moment, look to the future, and really in the moments where you're going to find a lot of the answers. But for you, I see there was a lot of positive in your energy field from past relationships. Maybe they didn't work out. Maybe they weren't the ideal person for that point in time. But I don't think you should totally disregard characteristics, personalities, and I want to say like attitude. Like I almost sense. So let me just give you what I feel around this a little bit. There may have been say like a wild guy. So maybe you're with that, and I'm not saying this is the guy you were with, but I'm just giving you this as an example. If in the past you've dated, the guy that had the motorcycle, played guitar, smoked cigarettes, and maybe was a little bit of trouble, or you weren't sure, was a little wild for you, and you said, you know what, I'm not going to deal with that kind of guy anymore. It's just too unstable. There's too many uncertainties around that.
Right.
I think you need to just take a step back and look at that and look at, hey, maybe I do want to try dating a guy that was a little wild again, but maybe a revised wild. This is it's different circumstances, and it's, maybe the guy that doesn't want to be out at the bar drinking at 2:00 in the morning and, be hungover for the next day at work, but maybe the guy that still wants to go to live music or wants to take you out dancing or wants to, go on that adventurous mountain getaway for the weekend, that wasn't planned. I don't know. I think you should revisit aspects of old lovers that maybe you didn't feel you resonated with at this point in time, but I do think you have to backtrack a little bit and look at a little bit of past relationships to help predict what's going to happen in the future relationship. Now, I'm going to Mary Amy. I think
we're running out of time
here.
We've got 6 minutes, so I'm going to just say, Val, I have to put my 2 cents in. That's what I always do. So what I'm sensing with you, Val, is dispense with thinking about what's going on outside of you, and let's tune inward. And what I'm sensing is for you to create this world that you would like with a love interest, I'm suggesting that you tune into yourself and have more self-love. Spend more time doing... Pardon me? You have been? Good.
I've been working on that very hard.
Good, because that's how it's going to begin. It's more... it did resonate with me in the same realm that Michael said something about reaching out, because what I sensed is that you have kind of projected a border, and it's not being crossed to you of a counterpart. In other words, you're trying to, and I don't want to use the word control, because it's not control, it's something else. It's like you're not allowing it, and it might be a thought process that you have, and it's because your heart was injured. And so that's why I'm saying, and it sounds like you're already in process of doing this, more so, like I sense or see you just doing whatever it is that you love, and loving yourself, and then this person is going to come into your life, because you're going to approach life or see life differently, like more open, and whatever it is that happened to you is was justified in how you feel, and like I know that. However, now moving forward, to bring someone into your life that you want to have love you and you love them, be sure that you are really, really, like, come up with 3 characteristics that you love about yourself.
I have, yeah.
Good. Wake up every morning and think about yourself, and leave anything from the past and take the good.
And yes, and I try.
I know it's
to.
I know it's going to happen for you. I know it's going to happen for you. This person.
May I say something quickly? And I did not mean to cut you off. I'm sorry. I was agreeing with you.
I was done. You're good.
Thank you. What I was going to say is, although I'm not around this specific person, I feel a very strong connection. And I'm wondering if we are going to reconnect, this specific person and I. And I don't know if you need a name. Either of you need a name.
You can put the name out there if you want, but sure. Not a last name, first name. See if the energy resonates with us. But before you say a name, is there? I just want to say, is there a C around the name? Do we have a C as a initial around this person? Prominent initial?
No, it's a J.
Okay, so you don't have like a Charles or a Charlie stuff.
Charlie would be my stepdad.
Charlie's your stepdad. Oh, okay, cool. Because Charlie's in your energy field, so I just wanted to put that out there.
Thank you.
Now is
he's quite
Charlie,
the character.
Is Charlie
No, he's here.
Oh, he's here. Okay, so we're just tapped into your Akashic records, then. Like what we were talking about earlier is basically that energy realm of any past, present, future possibilities. But that's what it is. That's funny. So I just had to see where the C was sitting in. So excellent. Appreciate that. Appreciate you validating that.
You're welcome.
I believe that whatever it is with this person, it has to be settled up. And if you, I'm seeing this because I know that we're going to get cut off in less than a minute. If you getting into a resting place, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. Get into a resting place, and I'd like you to tune into him. And I'd like you to send some kind of message to him from your heart.
Okay.
And to open it up. That's my suggestion, to open it up, because there's some kind of divide. I sense a divide. I don't know I don't know what's caused the divide, but I know there's a divide between you and this person. And thank you so much, Val. And we wish you well.
Thank you, Val. Good luck with everything.
I hope you keep listening to True Psychic.
Yes, you guys are phenomenal, and I thank you.
Thank you.
Oh,
thank you. Bye-bye. I had to say goodbye because, all right, so next week we'll be on Thursday at 7:30. I hope everyone joins us. Have a nice night, Michael.
You too, Mary Amy. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for listening. We'll see you next week.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.